Hey everyone, welcome to another video review. This is the Magic Square MS-B37 and B38 Shovel Master and Roller Master. You can see them there in their vehicle modes. We'll go ahead and put those off to the side real quick because we're going to look at this box real here. You can see a nice bit of artwork there on the front of their Magic Square. Bob, Ding, Nag, ages 16 plus in their names, and only suitable for children under 16 years old, and suitable for persons over 16 years old. That's what it was. You got the Magic Square logo on top here. You got more Magic Square and some silver striping. You got Magic Square silver striping. You got warnings on the bottom and recycle and all that stuff. And on the back, you got a couple outlines and more silver stripes, reflective silver stripes. In the box, you have a manual, which doesn't actually work very well, particularly for certain modes. There's a lot of stuff they skip over or outright just, don't mention or do poorly or whatever. And, you got a couple cards, which, yep, nice little plasticky cards of them both. And on the back, you got the text specs and outlines of the vehicle modes. So there's that. So right, you got Shovel Master and Roller Master. And yeah, you can see there are two parts of the Constructicons, Scrapper and Mix Master, respectively. You can see there that, they're basically the leg dudes, and yeah, they are, they're construction vehicles, and yeah, they're pretty decent looking ones too, I would say. There are a couple things here and there, like you got on here you got a bit of gray there to pick out the vents. You can see that. You got this thing which is kind of implies a seat or something, but there's nothing really there. It's just kind of implied. But yeah, so you got silver wheels, which actually for construction equipment is actually kind of inaccurate because most of the time they don't bother painting with either black or it's just the correct color of the rest of the construction vehicle. So they should be green or something, but whatever. They're silver. You got that stuff. You got hints of purple peeking out here and there, but for the most part, it is green. You got the nice little bits of ridging here on the shovel. You got a bit of robot mode sticking out underneath, but it's not a big deal. And of course, he does roll pretty well. And of course, as you have a grip surface that can grip the wheels, because like on my desk, for example, he can't roll worth crap because the wheels just don't hook up. But he does roll here pretty well. So there's that. Gun storage in this guy, I guess he does have his gun, which you can store more or less right here, I guess, on one of these holes, but that's about it on mine. And on top of that, one of the wheels doesn't like to stay tabbed in on the back here. This wheel doesn't like to stay tabbed in. So it has a tendency to just pop itself loose pretty easily. But there's that. And on top of that, you also got a little bit of shovel articulation. You got a hinge here and a hinge here at the bucket itself. So there's not a whole lot considering, but decent enough for what it is. Put them off to the side, because now we're going to look at Roller Master, aka Mix Master, and yeah, he is a cement truck. You can see that. Again, nice purple windows, painted on the side here, but transparent or translucent here in the front. You got gray with some silver for the headlights. See all that? See all that stuff? You got the purple mixing drum. You got a bit of purple here. Again, still silver on the wheels. No paint picked out back here or anything. Yeah, you got all that. You can see robot bits, including his head, face. You can turn his face around if you want, but you don't really need to, especially considering this is going to be on the ground most of the time. And well, for leg mode, again, you don't have to worry about that because that's going to be hidden for leg mode. Yeah. Again, he does also roll pretty decently, all things considered. And yeah, his mixing drum can rotate, although it's very stiff, but it does rotate. You can tell by these little pin things right here moving with it. Yeah, it does rotate, but just very stiff. And on Roller Master here, yeah, you can actually store the gun. It's not easy, obvious, but yeah, you can take the gun here. There's a little slot in the gun side. There's tabs right here, and what you can do there is just go ahead and on either side, you can just tab the gun in like that, and there you go. That's your weapon storage for the alt mode on this guy. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward actually. Yeah, that's the two vehicle modes, more or less. I'm just going to take that off because I don't want it there right now. Yeah, decent little vehicle modes, legend scale and all that stuff. Here they are with some Magic Square. Maybe Magic Square is a breakdown. I can't remember his name now. Yeah, Magic Square's breakdown and Magic Square's Nemesis Prime, just to give you an idea of scale. you know, bigger than the car, which is expected. And these cabs are actually roughly the same size. So I think these are roughly in scale with each other, I think. Although this is possibly, I believe, a smaller truck, so it actually might not be in scale after all. But yeah, you can at least fake it a little bit. It's in that weird, mushy, the alt modes kind of aren't going to be able to scale with each other no matter what you do, but this works thing, I guess. So you got that, all that stuff going on. And also kind of comparisons to their G1 counterparts, although these are knockoffs and not very good ones at that, but at least I believe they're more or less scaled the right way. But yeah, you can see, at least in this case, he's a slightly bigger. He's roughly this, you know, also a little bigger, but yeah, they're both slightly bigger than the G1 counterparts. And yeah, these are terrible knockoffs, which, yeah, also kind of, fortunately, yeah, the stickers are nasty and also are leaking some sort of residue, which is fun. But yeah, there's a comparison there. There's that. And I'm going to go ahead and get these guys transformed into combined modes, and I'll briefly talk about that. All right, so those are the leg modes. More or less, forgot that part. Yeah. The leg modes, they are what they are. The instructions, this is one of the parts where the instructions really fails at stuff, namely Scrapper here. That's their shovel master, I should say. They really, this is the one I feel like they really mess up with. The leg modes is him, because they kind of forget to show a bunch of stuff here, which helps fill out the leg and helps stabilize things and makes it so much easier for him to actually, you know, use that ankle tilt. Him, the thing is, well, the failure is actually when they show you how to transform into vehicle mode, they don't show you that this actually extends and shortens at all. So it's like this part's not done right. So it's actually always long, so you don't realize all that stuff. But yeah, it's actually pretty neat how they actually, where the gun actually does store here on this mode, because, you know, you can see it actually helps help this lock together. And honestly, also, if you really want, you can, if you want, you don't have to take these parts, this foot part, you don't have to stick it out. You can actually leave the bumpers out in front, so it's more like the G1 toy. You can do that if you want. That does work. If you don't want to, yeah, if you want it to be more toy-like, you can do that. And yes, the angle tilt does still work there as well. And yeah, if it isn't, again, the gun you can just plug it into the same hole you did in alt mode if you want to store it, and there you go. At least as far as I know. I'm not sure. I don't have the, you know, I don't have the final stuff to know for sure whether everything, where everything goes. But yeah, that's the combined mode stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and take these guys and put them in robot mode, and we'll talk more about that stuff. Yeah. These are the robot modes, and yeah, I do genuinely like these guys quite a bit. The transformation is kind of in that realm of I think it looks more complicated than it is, especially with really bad instructions. But once you kind of get the hang of it, it's actually pretty straightforward and easy to understand. You just gotta figure out what the heck you're actually supposed to do, particularly with Roller Master's legs. Those are particularly like troublesome the first few times you do it, but after that it becomes pretty much easier. And Shovel Master's, I would say, torso is the harder of the two parts. I get the harder the part on him, but it's not as bad a feel as him. Him so far has been the weirdest part with the leg part in particular. But yeah, you can see there, yeah, both of them. Yeah, nice bits of detail here. You got some, grays and reds and stuff on the chest. You got some red eyes picked out on the there. You got a bit of yellow here on the knees and whatnot, and you got this all green down here, and you got a bit of gray and green right here on the hip skirt and all that stuff. And yeah, and of course gray thighs and all that stuff. And he's got his fat mouth plate for a face and all that stuff. And with Roller Master here, yeah, again, you got the red eyes picked out. Bit of a kind of a stern face going on. You got this red square thing. You got some bits of gray here, purple down and green. Yeah, not a whole lot is there, but some nice molded detailing there as well. And you guys learn a little overhang and all that stuff. Of course, they have their guns. Roller Master gets the smaller one. Yep, and Shovel Master gets the larger one. Got that. And yep, they can, again, look pretty good overall. One thing I would complain about is definitely he's got a bit loose hips, at least on mine. This one has kind of loose hips, which is unfortunate. They're not so loose that he can't stand or anything, but they are definitely noticeably loose versus him, which is like pretty solid. But you see these kind of just swinging around. So that's a thing, unfortunately. But overall, so far there's nothing loose enough that would, I say, would affect the combined mode in any real way. Nothing so far, anyway. I haven't combined it yet, obviously. Yeah, that's pretty good. Let's see. How about the accessories? They come with a couple extra bits, namely an alternate face and head for Shovel Master, and getting that on is getting this to split apart is kind of annoying. There's see this little tab thing back here. Let's see. You see that little, I see that little tab thing. You gotta get that pushed out, which not easy to say the least. Definitely not easy to do, because this is more or less this is the tab that separates the face and the head. Unfortunately, this point of my spudger is broken, so it's a lot harder to do with this side of it. Much harder it should be anyway. Generally, you got to get in here and just, you got to get something there to separate this back part from the head, and that's on a ball joint, so that'll just pop off at that point. Take the alternate face, and you can see this one attaches a little differently. You can see the helmet shape is different. So they're not compatible with one another. Well, that's the kind of the thing. You can see they're not compatible with one another. Yeah, you got to get this one onto the ball joint. Get it on the ball joint, and then just get this over top of that right there, and just get that all squeezed together. There you go. Can kind of see the differences. There's not a whole lot of difference between the two, but yeah, you can see just some slight shape differences. Very slight. Right there on the faceplate, you can some his little brow is narrower on the alternate head versus this one, and you can see also the side of the head. It's a bit different as well. I kind of prefer the default face personally, but I don't know. It's whichever one you prefer. The difference is so minor. It's not a huge deal to me. This one I think is a little easier to get off, just because much easier to get the grip necessary on the side of the helmet while pushing through. It's a little easier to get it off comparatively. So there's that. I'm switching them back because that's what I prefer. That's the thing. And for Roller Master here, man, they just don't want to stand up right now. Roller Master here, it's an alternate backpack because in the cartoon it shrank down a lot. You know, this one's smaller than this thing. You can see a significant size difference. So you just unpeg it from there and untab it from the bottom, and this will just peg in this bottom peg hole. You just peg it into that. You just use this tab to line it up and peg it in. There you go. And you got a clearly smaller thing like it did in the show. So if you want more cartoon accuracy, I guess, somewhat more cartoon, you can use that if you want. I don't care enough to really swap it out. So that's the thing. I'm not sure I don't think it's going to work for combined mode, really. That's pretty much for the robot mode. I'm just thinking about that. It would not look very good on combined mode, would it? So yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, I'm okay with just having this one and keeping it on. But you know, whichever you prefer, you can use that if you get this set. That's the thing. Now, articulation. Heads on a ball jointed shaw. You know, left and right. You got left and right there. You got not really waggle because there's a helmet's shaped, and you got a tiny bit of up and down. Not a whole lot there. Zoom in just a bit. Yeah, the ball jointed head. So you got all that stuff. You got pin disc or something. Yeah, you got pin shoulders. You got that hinge. You got all the way around. You got outward. You got a biceps. You got a bicep swivel. You do have dual hinged elbows. They actually can curl all the way up if you want. This is, yeah, that's an interesting thing. Thing is, you're actually kind of detransforming it a little bit as well when you're doing that, but it does work. You do have a wrist swivel. You do have a wrist swivel, which works. Waist can do that. This can rotate, although his backpack at least gets in the way a little bit, but does rotate. Do have, this can work as an ab crunch right here. There's another piece right there. This can, if you extend this up right here at the abdomen, there's this piece, this can extend up, and then that lets you bend it forward a bit as well. And then you can use this bit right here to really bend. So you can bend pretty far. Can't really bend backwards though. That's the thing. Hips skirting out of the way a bit so you can, move the leg forward about that far. You can't get really much more you can kind of get a little more by doing this. If you do that, you can get a little bit more upward, but yeah. Got that. You got backwards about that far. You got outward about that far. You have a thigh swivel, double jointed knees, which is nice. Look good too for the most part. Some holes, but nothing major. And this is weird because it's on multiple hinges, so you got quite a bit of get out of the way-ness, if that makes any sense. And foot down here is interesting because it's actually on a ball joint and on a hinge thing, so you got actually quite a bit of movement. But the thing is, you kind of want to leave it back a bit just because, well, he's kind of a little back heavy thanks to the backpack. So yeah, you got ball joints. You got lots of forward and a little bit of back, and you got this heel joint we can go up and down. You got this toe joint we can go up and down because yeah, you should really have it extended because that's extending this out helps lengthen the foot. Yeah, lengthen the foot a bit so that helps you with the standing base a little. And you got some ankle tilt as well, but there's also that thing of eventually you hit that point of the corner of the leg is going to be down lower than the foot. So just, there's actually quite a decent amount of articulation with him, considering, again, it's particularly the size. You could also kind of, I guess, futz a bit of the hand with that. If you start untransforming it a bit, you can actually futz the hand moving up if you want that at all. That's the thing. Say. Him is largely the same story. His head is also on a ball joint. You got left and right. You do have up and, well, not really a whole lot down. You got no real waggle, and the thing is you just have to get this out of the way, which isn't too hard considering all the sliders and stuff. Just get out of the way and it's in there. Shoulder can do full rotation. There's outward. You do actually, thanks to transformation and stuff, you can, if you untab these panels, you can get a bit of butterflying, but then you're just untransforming it. But you can get a bit before it starts to look bad. That's the thing if you want. Although, yeah, again, you also have to extend the torso up a little bit to get that out and forward. So just an FYI. Yeah, you got a bicep swivel, elbows. Again, technically, are somewhat technically double jointed. Although at this point, you guys get the sculpt starts banging into itself. And you got wrist swivels as well. Wrist swivel, waist swivel, unhindered. No ab crunch thanks to this stuff. There's no ab crunch. I mean, you can kind of fake one, I guess. But yeah, it's more or less, yep. Side to side, I guess. That's at all helpful. Well, there's no ab crunch there. You can untab this, and that will just bring that down. So that doesn't really help either. That's kind of a backwards thing, and that just looks bad. Yeah, there's not much you can do there for ab crunch, unfortunately. Hips can go forward about that far and back about that far. Outward, they kind of are a little limited by these pieces right here, unfortunately. We got that far out. You got there's a thigh swivel here as well as the ball joint itself. Again, kind of limited thanks to sculpting. Knees, pretty much double jointed, although yeah, they're double jointed knees, and also you can kind of stand a little weird. And feet, you do have kind of back, not a lot of forward thanks to sculpting, but you do also have a ridiculous amount of ankle tilt if you really need it. And the toe can move down if you need that for any reason. Yeah, there's Roller Master's articulation. Pretty decent. Oh, and I guess you can move these guns up and down. Whee! So his articulation, again, it's not as extensive as his, but it's still pretty decent in its own right. Quick comparisons, of course. Here he is with here they are with more Magic Square stuff. You know, the breakdown and Nemesis Prime for Magic Square. You can see a bit taller than a Stunticon, but a bit shorter than a Prime, which works out more or less, I feel. The Stunticons, I believe, apparently are supposed to be slightly larger than, you know, standard Autobot, Carbot, but whatever. So you got that. You know, this is a pretty decent scale. And of course, you have the G1 knockoffs. But yeah, you can get from size. I'm not sure about colors because yeah, the colors I think might be a little off from the original G1 toys. But hey, at least you can get a decent idea that they're actually only slightly bigger than the original G1 toy. There you go. Yeah, I like this set. They're pretty good, all right. They're pretty good first impression for their Devastator, which, you know, I was kind of thinking about getting, and well, obviously I'm getting. Set C should be soonish. Set B will be coming out. The set B's out. Set C should be coming out right now. Yes, I know it took me a while to get to these guys, but stuff was happening and blah. And heck, the way things are going, there's a good chance that all the videos for these Constructicons are gonna come out one right after another. But yeah. These are pretty good toys overall. They made of the nylon plastic, which, you know, some people aren't really a fan of, but this makes these things really solid to play with. You don't have to be really afraid of anything breaking too much. The transformation is a little complicated, but if you know what you're doing, it's not too bad. The problem is instructions are just generally terrible. So yeah, the transformation's fine, but it takes a while to get used to, and I would say also pretty good robot mode. Some people aren't really huge fans of the purples and whatnot. I think some people don't really like the purples they use, but I think they look fine. They may not be the most accurate, but I think they look good. So yeah, there's that. I think overall these are pretty solid toys and worth checking out if you're all into Legend stuff and or Devastator. Domestically they cost about $100. Retailer in China will cost you roughly $80, but they are starting to sell out. So you might want to jump on them for their all gun, because Magic Square is not known for their rerun. I don't think Magic's run. They might do. They might occasionally do reruns, but sometimes they don't, or reissues. So that's the thing. Yeah, if you're all interested, go ahead and pick these guys up. They're very solid overall, and I rather like them, and I think they're worth the money considering how complicated they are. So that's it. I hope you found this informative and entertaining. I hope you like, comment, subscribe. Check out my Twitter at my Nemesis Prime 1, and check out my Coffee and my Patreon. I shall see you next time with another video review.